This will help you defer your taxes if you're an active equity trader. The trick is called tax loss harvesting, which is slightly different from tax harvesting, which I discussed in my previous videos, which are mainly meant for long-term investors in equity shares or equity mutual funds, whereas this is more useful for short-term traders. Let's assume that you had booked some profits during the first half of the year, around 1 lakh rupees. If this is short-term capital gain, you will have to pay tax of 20%, which is around 20,000 rupees. Let's also assume that you have stocks lying with you which are at loss. Let's say you bought 2000 shares of a particular company at 100 rupees per share, and right now it is standing at 70 rupees. Most people tend to hold on to stocks that are in loss because they don't want to sell it and materialize this loss. Instead, they just wait for the share price to come back up. What you could do here is to sell those shares and buy it back the next day, thereby recording the loss in your books. With this, your loss of 60,000 will get set off against the earlier profit of 1 lakh rupees, and your total tax liability will now reduce to just 8,000 rupees instead of 20,000. Now please keep in mind that you are only deferring or delaying these taxes, because the same tax which you save in the current year, you will end up paying that in the future years. How so? Let's assume that next year the share price goes back to 100 and you end up selling it at the break-even price. Without loss harvesting, your tax in the first year would have been 20,000 and your tax in the second year would have been 0 because you are selling it at 100 which you had bought at 100. So your profit and tax will be 0. But with loss harvesting now, you will be selling shares at 100 which you had bought in the previous year at 70. So this 30 rupees of profit per share on 2000 shares will leave you with a profit of 60,000 rupees, on which you will have to now pay tax of 12,000. So in both the cases, your total tax liability will remain 20,000. The only difference is with loss harvesting, you are paying 12,000 in the second year instead of the first year. So the benefit that you get will only be from the time value of money. The 12,000 that you save in the first year, if you are able to invest it somewhere and able to grow that money, that growth alone will be the benefit that you get. But please keep in mind the transaction cost that could eat away some of the gains. But again, if you're an active trader who is always likely to hold on to some loss-making stock, you could potentially defer a portion of your taxes perpetually.